Hey everyone, my name is Sean Arnold and welcome to the final episode for the week of Battlin Boxers. My apologies to everyone, I didn't actually expect this week to go on for as long as it did, but I really love this archetype. It's a good, solid, level 4 archetype that you never ever really see. I've just had so much fun experimenting with them and learning with them, and I've done tons of duels. It's actually kind of almost reigniting my passion for deck building in this game. So let's go into the final episode here, which I thought was a fun episode and it would be a nice way to end off with. And for those who want to try this deck out themselves, you can see my final deck build at the end of this video. So it's the first turn, and what I like to do on the first turn is I like to try and bring out Yugioh as soon as possible. A good way to do that is to have Battlin Boxers Sparer in your hand, because he can special summon himself to the field for free, and so you normal summon any other Battlin Boxer or even Sparer himself, and then special summon him to the field for free. The only downside is you can't use your battle phase, but being that it is the first turn, you don't have a battle phase anyway, so who cares? So yeah, bringing out Yugioh means I've got a nice bit of a wall on the field, and my opponent's going to have to find a way to get around it. Unfortunately, from my research, Battlin Boxers are not as effective in the current format of Yu-Gi-Oh, because destruction has almost become non-existent. In Yu-Gi-Oh, it's all about shuffling monsters back into the deck or bouncing them back to their hand, and that way Battlin Boxers really aren't able to really be triggered too easily. So they're not really as useful. But in this format of Yu-Gi-Oh for Legacy the Duelist, it still works pretty well. Just realize that over time these cards are going to get weaker and weaker, because stuff like destruction and basic mechanic like that becomes less useful, which is dumb in my opinion. My opponent set a whole entire back row of cards, and he is playing double X-Sabers or X-Sabers. X-Sabers is an archetype I've always wanted to try. They were a fun synchro archetype, and they were popular at one point in time, but not so much anymore. There used to be a Gotham's OTK variant of them. I would love to actually go and try them out again and see what they're like, so I think I might add them to my list, although I have a ton of other decks to get through at the moment. Like I said earlier in the, last week, I made 9 different decks on Legacy the Duelist before doing these recordings, and I'm just going to need to start working through them. So I use Snatch Steel to take my opponent's X-Saber MS Blade. I've got to be careful because MS Blade is a floater effect. When he is destroyed by battle, he can special summon another monster from his deck, and if Virus Hip Hop finds a way to attack into it, then they will gain a card for my troubles. And plus, with it being a level 3, I can't actually rank summon it off. But let's keep the aggression going. I'm going to use Yugioh to attack my opponent's face down card, and it turns out to be another copy of MS Blade. If I were Virus Hip Hop personally, I would have taken the risk to crash that MS Blade into my MS Blade, and that way he would have gotten 2 cards from his deck, just because even though you might have lost one in the long run, you can still gain advantage of the MS Blade on my field a little bit later on. But he's decided to play defensively, and for his efforts he decided to summon another MS Blade. I'm not going to attack it because that will then set up a play for him in the next turn or so. So I'm going to leave that on the field, and I'm trying to think, what should I do? I want to find a way to get rid of this MS Blade. So I'm actually going to use something which I normally don't do. I'm actually going to use my Switch Hitter, even though I don't have a target in the graveyard to bring back with. And I'm going to try and go into a rank 4 summon, such as Castell, or something to get rid of that monster on the field. Unfortunately, Virus Hip Hop has Bottomless Trap Hole ready and waiting, and that's going to get rid of my Switch Hitter. But thanks to Yugioh has an effect where any Battlin Boxers monsters are destroyed by battle or card effect, they can be protected, and I get to detach one. So fortunately, Switch Hitter gets protected, and I send a Sparer to the graveyard, and now I should be able to special summon another copy of Sparer from my hand in order to start going to a rank 4 play. This is Yugioh is a really cool monster and fun monster to play. He's a great brick wall, and he really just kind of ties the whole archetype together about being boxers that, you know, have tons of stamina and you know, just want to keep fighting. Unfortunately, Virus Hip Hop, knowing that I want to go into a rank 4, uses Solemn Warning and negates the summon of Sparer, and now I've got a Switch Hitter which is pretty much useless on the field, and he's just going to have to hang around there for a bit. So I set down one more card on the field, and now I go over to Virus Hip Hop. Now, you've got to be careful with X-Sabers. If I remember correctly, they have really all the tools they need to be efficient. They have really good synchro monsters. They have good hand destruction. They have good negation effects, which are archetype based. they have a really all sorts of effects. So I need to find a way to really kind of overpower them and kind of get rid of some of my opponent's resources, but I might have to lose a couple of cards along the way to do so. So at this point, what I'm thinking of is I'm actually looking up some stuff on the internet, and this is something which I never really spoke about, but I've done this since playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Since I ever started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Online, and that is looking up rulings. In case you're unsure of something, sometimes it's good to have the internet browser open and just look up the rulings of a card, just to see how they work, in case you want to plan ahead. What I was looking up there is whether I can use Vanity's Emptiness somehow to stop both of those X-Saber MS Blades from triggering, but no, it's not going to work because I'm going to lose a card to the field, and the time when I lose a card to the field, Snatch Steal to the graveyard, it will destroy Vanity's Emptiness, and then Vanity's Emptiness won't be triggering, won't be on the field. My opponent goes into a a level 6 synchro summon of double X-Saber Hyunlai, and this is one of their great monsters. When Hyunlai is synchro summoned, you can select up to 3 spells or trap cards your opponent controls and destroy them. It is pretty much a Harpy's Feather Duster. It is a complete back row wipe, and that's really bad for me. I'm going to lose Snatch Steal, which means he's going to get his Emma's Blade back, but I'm also going to lose my other 2 trap cards. First, I play Vanity's Emptiness because I wanted to see if I can bait my opponent to playing anything out, and he does. He uses Gotham's Emergency Call, which is a card that brings back 2 X-Saber monsters from my opponent's graveyard to the field. Now with him using that, I'm going to have to play Bottomless Trap Hole. Bottomless Trap Hole will get rid of Hyunlai, but then my opponent will have another monster on the field, having 2 monsters on the field, and should be able to synchro summon again, so this isn't really the best of situations for me. Plus, he's also going to have his Emma's Blade back. But yeah, no, it's often good practice to look up card rulings and look up special ways that they work, and it will help you form combos and create strategies. So I do definitely recommend doing that, and it's something which I've, like I said, done. I got into the habit of doing a long time ago. If I'm really unsure of a card or how it works, I will just look it up on the internet and make sure that it works in a certain way. But what's really great about Legacy of the Duelist, though, because it's programmed so well, this app is really great for learning Yu-Gi-Oh! Is you really can't play a card wrong, and I don't think there have been many mistakes at all in this game. I think maybe I found one, but for the most part they're all programmed really well, and they stick to their rulings, and therefore they play as they're supposed to be played. And so even if you try to play a certain way, it wouldn't let you anyway. So my opponent has 3 level 3 monsters on the field. He has 2 copies of Emma's Blade and 1 copy of, I have no idea what that tuner is called. It's, I can't remember what it's called on top of my head, but it's a level 3 tuner. What is Virus Hip Hop gonna do? He's having a think, he's having a ponder, he's having a little bit of a wonder, and now he's going to go into a synchro summon for a level 9 monster, and that is X-Saber Gotham's. X-Saber Gotham's is a really big monster. It's one of the boss monsters of the deck. He has a simple effect, but his attack is a whopping 3000, I believe, and his effect is you contribute 1 X-Saber card on the field, and you can then discard 1 card from your opponent's hand. Like I said, X-Sabers have all sorts of tools, and they can get rid of your hands, they can get rid of your graveyard. And what X-Sabers typically like to do is they like to swarm the field quite a bit, so that's why Gotham's can be actually kind of useful. But right now, I'm just going to keep on putting cards on the field to protect my hand, or to empty my hand, and that way Gotham's won't be able to take advantage off of that. What was I going to say? Yeah, I was going to say that I was wondering what does the XX in these cards stand for. I have no idea what the backstory or the lore of these cards are. When I saw XX, it made me think of the double X chromosome, which is what males have, I believe. Or do we have an XY? No, double X is female, I believe, and XY is male. I might be completely wrong about that. I never liked biology. But if anyone knows what the story behind the Sabers are, let me know, because I'd actually be interested. I could easily just look it up on Wikia, but I like to find out things naturally as opposed to just going to research it sometimes, you know. Right, so Virus Hip Hop's trying to think about what to do. He can't he doesn't really want to lose his monster, and I have no idea what those 2 face down cards are. And although I've kind of got my backs against the wall because his monsters are stronger than mine, I do have Yugioh, which will protect my monsters for a little while and also trigger a couple of effects if I can get it to work. Virus Hip Hop passes the turn, and now I get to draw another card. Draw into Fiendish Chain. I'm going to just set it down on the field straight away, and there's really nothing else I can do for this turn, so I'm just going to chill out for a bit. So Yugioh is at 3,000. Well, I could actually just crash Yugioh. Oh no, Gothams is 3,100. That's why I can't crash it. I was thinking I could crash Yugioh into Gothams, and then he would be destroyed and I wouldn't. But no, Yugioh is actually weaker than that, so I'm going to hold on a little bit. I could make a risky play where I purposely get Yugioh to attack Gothams, and that way I can trigger his effect to increase his attack. But I don't really want to take a risk that could really backfire against me like that. If my opponent has some kind of removal cards like Dimensional Prison, that would be really bad. Gotham X-Sabers also have a lot of their own archetype trap cards, which I don't really know how they work, but I assume they are quite good, and so I've got to be kind of aware of that. It's the battle phase now. Is he going to try and attack? He's going to attack Switch Hitter. I'm actually going to let this go through, although I could protect Switch Hitter. I want Switch Hitter to go to the graveyard. What my plan is at this point is to get Battlin Boxer Glass Jaw's effect to trigger by sending it to the graveyard through Yugioh's effect, and then I can revive a card back from the graveyard, and if I can get back Switch Hitter from the graveyard and normal summon it, I can start summoning another copy of Yugioh, and that will allow me to create more shenanigans and more problems for Virus to get around. But not in necessarily the best of situations here. I feel like Virus has the advantage here. My back is against the wall, and X-Sabers can outpace these Battlin Boxers quite quickly, so I've got to really try and control my opponent and play off their fears and see if I can kind of just outgame them as much as I can. I drew into Instant Fusion there, not really going to be able to use it, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to force something to happen. I'm actually going to attack into Gothams. I'm going to lose 100 damage, but that's fine, it's totally worth it for what I'm going to try and do. Assuming that this goes through, hopefully, fingers crossed. It looks like it will, and now I'm going to trigger Yugioh's effect. Now by doing so, I'm going to send Glass Jaw to the graveyard. Glass Jaw will now trigger, and Yugioh will also trigger, giving it an 800 attack boost. And now I'm going to get Switch Hitter back from the graveyard, and I should be able to create another Yugioh later on. Plus the Yugioh I have on the field has 3,800 attack, and if I can get another Yugioh on the field, it will mean that I can actually protect the bigger Yugioh with the weaker Yugioh's effect. So I will have 2 really big strong monsters on the field. Let's normal summon Switch Hitter. Please don't negate it if Virus Hit Pop. Please don't. Yes, I was able to attack, activate it. The summon was successful. Here comes back Glass Jaw. Glass Jaw comes back to the field. The Incredible Hulk flexing. And now let's go into our rank 4 summon, and we got the other copy of Yugioh to the field. This is working out really well for me, really well in my favor. I've got these 2 big boss monsters on the field. They're not that big compared to today's standards, but their effects are really good. And my opponent's now playing Saber Hole. Activate only while you control a face-up X-Saber monster. Negate the special summon of an opponent's monster. I lost my Yugioh. This is not good at all. Oh man. This is going to be hard. I really was counting on that play, and now that I've lost that summon, I don't have really many resources to actually go back into. I'm going to just have to rely on luck. Hopefully I can draw into a reinforcement in the army or something that will help me out there. And now my opponent's playing Saber Slash. Destroy a number of face-up cards on the field equal to the number of face-up attack position X-Saber monsters you control. He's going to destroy my Yugioh. Oh god, this is terrible. That's a really cool card, Saber Slash. And now he's playing Saber Fault. Each face-up X-Saber monster on the field gains 100 attack times its level and loses 100 defense times its level. With Gotham's being level 9, he's gaining 900 attack and he's lost 900 defense, bringing him to a whopping 4,000 attack. This isn't good. This isn't good. I might actually just lose this duel. Gotham's is going to attack directly. Fortunately, I have a Phoenix Chain on the field. I don't really like using Phoenix Chain to stop an attack. I prefer it to stop effects. But in this situation, a 4,000 attack is going to be half my life points, and that in 2 turns I could probably very well die. So let's do what I can to protect myself, and let's use Phoenix Chain. Let's try and stop Gotham's attack. Is it going to work? And it totally works. So fortunately I was able to protect my life points there, but in terms of resources, I really don't have what I need. I've got Vanity's Emptiness to kind of stun any special summon plays. I've got Instant Fusion, but Instant Fusion on its own isn't too good. I could go into Panzer Dragoon, and I call it Panzer Dragoon because there's a video game called Panzer Dragoon, I think on the Sega Saturn, but it's Panzer Dragon, copyright reasons probably. And yeah, fortunately I drew into Summon a Monk. Summon a Monk is an instant rank 4 summon if I'm smart enough with it. And yeah, I've got to think about what I could do here. I'm not too sure what's best to do in this situation. Is it best to use a Summon a Monk and then play Instant Fusion, or use Summon a Monk and then ditch Instant Fusion to go to the graveyard? If I play Instant Fusion, I lose 1,000 life points, but then I special summon from my deck and one from my extra deck and not my actual deck, so that's one way of doing something. Or Summon a Monk summons from my deck, thins out my deck and makes it smaller. I'm probably going to go for that as opposed to special summon from my extra deck. And if I had stuff like Gusto in my extra deck, I might have considered actually using Instant Fusion instead. That way monsters will get shuffled back in there, but I don't have Gusto in this deck because I like things in the graveyard. So I'm going to ditch Instant Fusion for Summon a Monk, special summon a monster from my deck to the field. Unfortunately, I really wish Battlin Boxers were more like Satilla Knights and that they activated when summoned, but unfortunately they don't. They only activate when normal summoned. And so let me just summon the big Hulk and bring him to the field, and maybe I can find a way to use him later on, who knows. Thinking about it, I probably should have actually gone for something like Headgear, because keeping Hulk in the deck is useful to mill to the graveyard with Foolish Burial and with Headgear. So probably shouldn't have actually used it for this. But now I'm going to use both monsters on the field to go into, if I can. Yep, I'm going to go into Ragnar Zero. Number 103, Ragnar Zero. A really nice rank 4 monster, one that I don't use too often, but I keep for the Clifford matchup. And the way this works is that once per turn, during either player's turn, you can attach 1 XE material from this card, then target 1 face-up attack position monster your opponent controls, and destroy it. And if you do so, you can then draw 1 card from your deck. With the field spell card on the field, all my opponent's X-Saber monsters will be getting attack boosts, and that way I can benefit off Ragnar Zero and actually get more cards from my deck. Fortunately, I was able to draw into a switch hitter, and now I'm going to use Ragnar Zero as a rule. Any monster my opponent summons, I should be able to destroy instantly with Ragnar Zero's effect, and then I'll be able to get some cards off of it. So this is good. This is actually turning back into my favour. Got a party invite there from the Mafia Joe, and the Mafia Joe is a new player to the game who is actually trying to learn how to play. I think he's trying to work on a Gravekeeper deck at the moment, and he probably wants to play against me. Sorry Joe, I'm a little bit busy at the moment, dude, but that's I'll get to you soon. Now Varys Hip Hop plays Upstart Goblin, and now he goes into Reinforcement of the Army. He's able to add X-Saber Fulham Knight from his deck to the hand. Fulham Knight is one of their tuners, I believe. So is he planning to synchro summon somehow? Maybe he is. Now he plays Call of the Haunted to bring back a monster from the graveyard, and he's targeting X-Saber Gothams. Definitely don't want that to happen. Even though I could destroy it with Ragnar Zero, I do not want to have to deal with Gothams at all again. He is just way too big. And let's do Vanity's Emptiness. VE will stop Call of the Haunted from playing. So no more special summons for anyone on the field. And let's see what Virus Hip Hop is going to do. Is he going to play his monster? He really shouldn't, because Ragnar Zero's on the field. But then, who knows? I'm now in a much better situation than I was a moment ago, because now I have a card which negates some special summons. So if I attack that face down card and it turns out to be something like an Emma's Blade or something that special summons more monsters, I'm not going to be afraid of it anymore. And if my opponent summons any monsters, Ragnar Zero will destroy them and I will get to draw a card for free. So feeling a little more fearless, let's go straight into the battle phase. Let's go and attack that face down card and see what it is. It's X-Saber Pasho. Pasho is an effect which cannot be destroyed by battle. And the downside to it is that during each of his standby phase, my opponent has to take 1,000 damage. So, you know, it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, but it stays on the field long enough to make it into a synchro summon, as it is a tuner monster. One of the cards that X-Sabers can really take advantage of that I wish I could do so in some of my other decks was, it's called Reinforced Truth, I believe. And it's a monster which special summons a level 2 warrior type monster from your deck to the field. It's really nice. It works well with TGs, it works well with X-Sabers. Just really great for getting out little weak tuners from your deck. I think even 6 Sams might be able to take advantage of it, I'm not too sure, but you know, it's a nice little card there. Right, the only thing you've got to be careful with Ragnar Zero is it can only destroy face-up attack position monsters. It can't destroy monsters in defense, so I can't get rid of Pasho. But still, I'm okay with where I am right now, because Pasho will do damage to my opponent every turn, the longer it's on the field. Then I attack my opponent's face down card and send it to the graveyard. And now I end my turn and we go off into turn 18. Before doing so, double X-Saber Dark Soul activates. During the end phase, if this card was sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add one X-Saber monster from your deck to your hand. What's Virus Hip Hop going to search out? Does he have an answer in his deck in forms of a monster to the current situation in the field? And he searches out double X-Saber Bogart Knight. I didn't see the whole text there. Some level 4 monster, but I'm sure we'll be seeing it soon enough. And let's see what Virus Hip Hop is going to do. Managed to really turn this one around. I was on the ropes a while ago, but I managed to just make some really good plays and kind of get rid of some of the things. Virus Hip Hop is now tributing a monster on the field, and he's going to summon X-Saber Guard Strike. Let's just have a quick read of what that does. If you have 2 or more X-Saber monsters in your graveyard, I didn't see the whole rest of the text there. Let's see with what it is. You can special summon this card from your hand, I think. I'm not going to let that happen. I'm going to destroy that instantly with Ragnar Zero. Now Ragnar Zero has used all its materials up, putting me in a nice, pleasant position here. And this could be the final turn. I've got enough to go actually for game here. My opponent only has 3,500. With Ragnar Zero and Switch Hitter in hand, I could actually wrap this up. Switch Hitter could be summoned and I could attack directly. I do feel a little bit conscientious of using Switch Hitter right now because Vanity's Emptiness is on the field, and that way I can't use this effect. But this might be time to go for game, so let's take a risk, let's take a chance, and let's just do it. Let's just summon him to the field, and let's just swing, and hopefully it goes through. Is it going to happen? Is it going to work? Switch Hitter attacks directly. And Ragnar Zero. And that's game. Good game to you, Virus Hip Hop. And now, guys, we are going to get into deck build for my final deck build of this deck. Okay, everyone, so here's my final Battlin Boxer deck build for the January 2015 format. I've had a whole lot of fun playing this archetype, and through deck testing, this is kind of what I've come to. I'm sure there are ways to continue improving it, but I've got to move on to bigger and better things. So, first of all, let's start off with the main beat stick, and that is Battlin Boxer Glassjaw. Battlin Boxer Glassjaw is really good for its 2000 attack, but really, most importantly, it's used for its effect. I didn't really understand how this effect worked earlier in the week, and you saw me using this card less and less, but now he's really one of the big focuses, and his effect is When he's sent to the graveyard, you can target one Battlin Boxer monster in your graveyard and add it to that target to your hand. It can be sent to the graveyard by any means as long as it's through an effect, which means it can be sent to the graveyard by Battlin Boxer spirits if you're lucky enough to min it through that. Foolish Burial will trigger it. Headgear will trigger its effect, and also Battlin Boxer Yugioh or Maestro the Symphony Jin. Those cards will all send cards to the graveyard via their effects, and if you can think of any others, maybe like Mathematician, if you want to work that in here, then Battlin Boxer will trigger, and it kind of works out really well for it. And then by doing so, you gain a card from your graveyard, being able to make your graveyard into a bit of a toolbox as much as your deck. Battlin Boxer Headgear is an extra version basically of Foolish Burial. It sends one card from your deck to the graveyard, being a Battlin Boxer. Early in the game, if you don't have anything in the graveyard, I recommend sending Switch Hitter if you're sure you're going to be able to recover it pretty quickly, or Spara if you are unsure, or a copy of Headgear if you really just don't want to draw into another one. You really just want this card earlier in the game. Later on in the game it's less efficient or less useful, once you have a monster in your graveyard, you start sending Glass Jaws to the graveyard, and that way you can recover them and start benefiting off this effect. Spara is a really good card. It's a free special summon. You can special summon it. Try to special summon it in a turn when you can't attack your opponent, or during main phase 2 when you have attacked your opponent. Just summon it to the field, and it allows you to make quicker rank 4 plays. Switch Hitter is the MVP of the deck, the best card, the best monster of the deck. It's simple. He's a single rank 4 card. You summon it, normal summon it, and you bring back a boxer, and then you can go into a rank 4 play for pretty much for free. Really great card. You do have to set things up a little bit. So the start of the game, you want to get cards into the graveyard like Glassjaw, and then Switch Hitter brings them back. Go into something like Yugioh because you can only summon Battlin Boxer monsters, and then once you use Switch Hitter's effect, and then use Yugioh to send Glassjaw to the graveyard, keep recycling and keep summoning those again and again. And also to summon a monk, just because this is a rank 4 deck, and he is also a single rank 4 card like Switch Hitter, which brings you at rank 4s more quickly. Battlin Boxer Spirits is a monster reborn for Battlin Boxers. You do send the top card of your deck to activate it. Oh, this won't trigger Glassjaw because this is part of the cost, not the effect, so don't worry about that. But its main attraction is to special summon a monster from your graveyard. It's a really quick card, really facilitates more rank 4 plays. Can't really benefit off of it, so you're only running one copy of it because you always want it to be live, and you don't want it to be really a dead card. Foolish Burial is only in there really to trigger off Glassjaw or to set up a Glassjaw play or a Switch Hitter play, so that's why that's there. 2 copies of Instant Fusion just because they can get you out a level 4 monster like Carbonana Warrior. If this was the current format, it would be Elder Entity Norden for sure. But being able to get a level 4 monster on demand through a spell card is really good. And I've also got Panzer Dragon because this allows Instant Fusion to become a destruction effect. At the end of the turn, when this card is sent to the graveyard, it destroys one card on the field. So it makes it a little bit more versatile. So that way, if you don't want to summon a monster, you can summon something that can destroy something. If you don't want to destroy something, you can summon a monster and go into a rank 4. 2 copies of Kaiser Colosseum to stun your opponent and slow them down. 2 copies of Kaiser Colosseum and 3 copies of Vanity's Emptiness is becoming one of my favourite stun cards or floodgate setups. It really slows down spammy plays and makes the decks more in your favor to kind of control the pace of the game. 2 copies of MST. This could be at free. It might even be better at free, but I haven't got the room for it. 2 copies of Pot of Duality. Duality is good. It's okay, but it does stop you from special summoning, which you often want to do in this deck. So it's in there just for speed purposes, but really, in fact, this might be better to go for a copy of MST, and that way you can speed up your deck a little bit, but you're not having to slow yourself down so much with Duality's restrictions. 3 copies of Rota, 1 copy of Snatch Steal, 1 copy of Soul Charge, 3 copies of Upstart, Bottomless, Compulse, 2 Fiendish Chain, 1 Solemn Warning, and 3 Vanity's Emptiness in order to kind of tackle your opponent's threats. And then the extra deck is you must have a max set of Yugioh. If you don't, you're going to find yourself slowed down, especially with Switch Hitters, a restriction effect. Other basic stuff: Dweller for graveyard control, Berserk for graveyard control, Blade Armor Ninja for 4,400 attack damage in a turn. Castell for removing threats. Exiton for board wipes. Excalibur for getting over a really large monster. Lavalval Chain for triggering Glass Jaws effect or putting Switch Hitter on top of your deck. My Stroke for triggering Glass Jaws effect or for setting a monster on the field to defense position and then attacking it. Silent Honor Art for monster removal. Ragnar Zero for monster removal. And yeah, that's it. So hopefully you guys are have enjoyed this week and liked the build. If you guys have any suggestions, feel free to make them in the comments down below. But that's going to be it for the week of Boxers. And had a whole lot of fun doing this. And yeah, really fun archetype. I'll see you guys soon. Take care.